It is Wednesday. RawMikeRichards.com broadcasting from 234 King Street East in downtown Toronto. Also watching us on the dedicated YouTube channel. Of course, you can also subscribe to RawMikeRichards.com. I see you doing that. Subscribe to both. You'll be glad you did. And there's so much more. Lots coming up on today's show. By the way, thanks for all the response to Rochelle Ryan yesterday, a XXX star who also knew her football. Actually, I thought she did a great job, and it was reflected in the comments on Twitter, which was quite heavy all day yesterday and even into today. Well, we appreciate it. A lot of Americans actually watching that, saying, you know what, the Canadian guys did a great job. I mean, I guess it would be easy to kind of go south on something like that, but why? You know, she could hold her own, and she had, I thought, a great take on football. We're gonna, there's some other names that actually came up, so we'll venture down that road. Of course, Dave asked all really great football questions, and I asked mostly about porn.
I thought it worked out well.
Stick with what you know.
Yeah,
that's what I've always said. Boy, there's some crazy stuff to talk about today, and also I'm going to show you one of the most awkward auditions that I have ever seen. I can't even believe you even call it an audition on one of the most famous television shows of all time. A television show that spurred on some of the biggest box office hits of all time. And when you think it started with this kind of audition, I would say that you're a big drinker. I'm watching this audition thinking, number one, it made me feel really uncomfortable watching it. And two, that this would be the genesis for something that is going to, David, probably responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars.
I think that's
over
fair.
The years,
and it still runs
and
today,
and it will keep on going. I think
exactly. Kids will be watching, or
yes.
or know some sort of version. Maybe that's the best way
version.
of saying it, because we're not spoiling it. Let me ask you this: have you ever had an audition yourself or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I had a bad
one. I've had a couple myself.
I didn't do. See, you actually did film work, and I had one audition. I don't know if I talked about that. The Eddie and the Cruisers 2. So Eddie and the Cruisers was a big movie.
Yep.
And then I auditioned for the one here in Toronto. I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never done it before. I didn't realize you're supposed to memorize lines and everything. When the girl said, "Oh, you're here for the rock star guy or whatever it was," I'm like, "Yeah." Oh, the sides are over there. I go, "Sides?"
And what are sides?
And I was like, beans and coleslaw and like what? These. It's like the scriptures. So I went across the street, tried to memorize it, but there's a lot of it. Like it was this thick.
It's tough, man. It's intimidating as hell, too.
Well, if you have no skill doing it, so I'm reading what I think might be certain parts, and of course then I go in there, and it's just a kind of a white empty office room,
yep.
And there's a little camera, and the guy goes, "Okay, state your name." Mike Richards. Seriously, is that how you're going to talk? like everything went bad. You say your agent's name, blah blah blah, the part you're playing,
yep,
which was like Coolio, or I don't know, it's like a rock star guy, Spider. Okay, so let's try the sides. Let's go scene 2, page whatever. Which one was that part? Seriously?
Sounds like you were in my audition too. A couple of
it was so bad. And they're like, okay, and really, what the scene was, I guess they can't find Eddie or something. And all I kept thinking was, if you're going to be in the movies, at some point you got to swear, because that's what the big stars do.
Yeah.
So then they read their side. You of course I couldn't memorize it. So just keep your sides. Just read. Just read for us. Okay. Action. So, did anyone see Eddie this morning? Because they're really not good at reads. I was like,
no, they just And
I was like, just like a breakfast scene. I'm like, no, I haven't seen him. Fuck. And they're like, cut. Whoa. I have no idea what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. Are you doing what you're doing? It's a breakfast scene. I'm supposed to have like a glass of milk. And what was that? So I said, take two. So has anyone seen Eddie? No, I haven't. Fuck. So like, okay, great. That's great stuff. Great stuff. You know who got the part? Mark Holmes from Platinum Blonde.
Oh, really?
So if you see that,
Well, he does play a role of a rock star in other
kinda is a rock
situations.
star.
Yeah, I was going to say.
and so I told Mark Holmes that, and he goes, "Oh, really, baby?" And he's kind of like Austin Powers. That's honestly, it's all, Mark. You know how you talk. Oh, smashing, baby. So I obviously wasn't getting any of those roles.
No.
That was my big. So when you see this thing, even as bad as what you just saw from my part, this one is worse.
Yeah.
I wish I had that. I wish I had what you're going to see. Speaking of things you're going to see, do you want to see what many are calling the most the remarkable catch of the season or of the year?
Year for sure, if not. I don't know. It's in the conversation of decade, in my opinion.
And it was a crazy game, a crazy finish, and we talked about who you want to see in the baseball playoffs. Well, if these two teams, who both I am sure are going to be in that conversation, Dave, if this is what the games look like, then I got no problem if every game kind of looks like this, because it had everything. Now, here's an outstanding grab. So this is last night in Boston, once again, property of Major League Baseball, Major League Advanced Media, and this is in Boston. Watch the catch. You won't believe it.
Two, Andre, switch hitter at that.
There's a long fly ball, deep center field. Jackson's back. He leaps. He made an unbelievable catch.
Oh.
He flipped into the bullpen. Did he hang on? That's the only question at this point.
He sure did.
What a play by Austin Jackson. That just might be the play of the year.
Look at that.
Hanley Ramirez is stunned.
Did you see how high Lindor jumped?
His knees
After
are at
he
the
saw
height
him jump over the fence with the ball.
of the fence.
Austin Jackson can still go get him with the best.
And he
This
hangs
might
on.
be the best time play you'll ever see. In this ballpark, at that angle, he makes the catch and tumbles into their bullpen. My goodness.
Look at the angles there.
Look at Geyer's
Like-
going to chase him to see he caught it. And he had it clearly. And flips over. What a tremendous play. You will not see a better catch than that.
Man, what
ever.
a great look right there.
And the interesting thing is you see the bullpen just sort of in awe of what he did, but he also, as you notice, holds on as he's flipping over the fence with one arm, still bounces himself upside down to hold on to the fence.
Outrageous. That's like gymnast quality.
Sure it is.
That's like a gold medal quality. Fantastic game, by the way. Cleveland jumps off to a 5-0 lead. Boston scores 5 in the bottom of the second to tie it. They go back and forth, all the way to the 9th inning, where Cleveland scores 2 runs at the top of the 9th to take a 10-9 lead. So could they lock it down in the bottom of the 9th inning? Not so much. Boston scores 3. They win 12-10.
Dave, you don't say. We have that clip once again, courtesy of Major League Baseball, Major League Advanced Media, and, of course, this game from Fox. Uh-oh.
Deep center
Trouble.
and gone.
Craziness.
What a ball game.
And you have to think for Major League Baseball,
There
where
was a fastball middle of the plate. It was down, and that's not coming back. He knew he had to
September.
get a strike. He was patient in the end.
September not that far away, so Dave,
And I would have ruined
yeah.
it like that if I would have looked ahead and saw that we had that highlight.
Dave, you got to talk to the producer before the show.
That's true. We're still looking for him.
Yeah, those big meetings we had before the show. Instead of looking at girls who walk up and down the sidewalk on King Street. Wow, look at that one. What clubs were playing today? I don't know, Dave. I'm very busy right now. That is, again, I'm looking at, if that's Boston, Cleveland, and if that's what we're getting in September, October, Dave,
Yep.
bring on the baseball. And again, normally that's not my first go-to. Certainly baseball is not. It's not. But if I see baseball games like that, guys flipping over fences, if you see home runs in the bottom of the 9th, because guess what? Baseball playoffs, to be fair, in the last, let's say 4 to 5 years, there has been crazy stuff. It might be almost in some ways the least predictable sport when it comes to playoffs. Like when you get to the NFL, and once it starts getting close and you start into the playoffs, do you really sit there and go, ooh, I wonder who's going to win this one? For the most part, There are some games, but if you're looking at the elite team, and of course we're going to look at a New England team obviously this year, but for the most part, you know who's going to win. You really truly do know who's going to win. It's all about the point spread. But in Major League Baseball, it's a freak show.
It is. And there's a lot of freak shows out there that could go back and forth either way. I mean, you look at both leagues. Sure, you have favorites, but I mean, if I give you 3 teams in both the National and the American League, I don't know if you can sit there and make an argument that there's a clear-cut winner out of it.
Yeah.
I just don't think.
No, I don't think there is. And again, when you start talking about what Kansas City did a couple of years ago, then all bets are off the table. Which is why you start talking that way. That's why you can talk yourself into a different outcome in Conor McGregor and Mayweather. Like, we're pretty sure we know. Pretty sure we know.
Yeah, we know who's going to win, but
you start going. But then you start rethinking it. You hear all these guys talking, and look, we'll have more announcements about the McGregor Mayweather fight as it pertains to rawmickrichards.com. We'll have that very shortly. Hopefully by early next week, you're going to know what we're going to be doing with that fight. Speaking of things unbelievable, so there you have some major league stars, some really big names, but not known for hitting the long ball because they're pitchers. Now, some pitchers have on their resume that they can't hit the ball. Obviously, they grew up playing a game where, sometimes the pitcher at the younger levels, sometimes he's also the guy who's the best batter on the team. They tend to be the better athlete on the team a lot of times when you're younger.
Yeah,
and then it's
pitcher can do everything. Basically.
Exactly. But not in the major league. So who are we starting off with here? So here's Lester. A 2-run shot. It's the Cubs win over the Diamondbacks, but you're just not used to, quite frankly, seeing something like this. Once again, courtesy of Major League Baseball, Major League Advanced Media, and, of course, I think this was a CSN game as well.
Chipola Junior College in Florida. Deep left center for John Lester. He's got it! A home run!
Awesome.
Oh, they really got to dance. Lester!
Look at the dance. That might be the best part of the home run.
We have a winner in the Lester Lackey Home Run Derby. Took the better part of 2 years.
Not a bad swing.
Guy with a big smile.
And again, when they're talking about the big guy right there, so Lester would,
and long-time
Lester
American
would be
league pitcher too.
Yeah.
So it's not like he got a lot of chances.
No,
right?
so Boston was.
Oh yeah.
So Lester, what? It's like these guys now. It's like everything else in sport. They're what, 6? What's he? A 6'5" guy?
Yeah, probably 6'4", maybe a little bit smaller. But yeah, these days their pitchers are built almost like the comparison is the NHL goaltenders.
I agree 100%. I think
like,
it's the same thing
because you'll never find an NHL goalie that's 6'5", 260. You might find the occasional pitcher, but for the most part, they're tall and lanky, right? Chris Sale's a good example. Lester's a little more built than Sale, but like a Jeff Samardzija tall, lanky.
Like when
they got the spaghetti arms.
When
know
you
what I
see
mean?
Marcus Stroman walk out to the guys, he looks like their son.
I was gonna, that's a nice way of saying it.
Because it just sort of is. Now, on the same night, Max Scherzer, he crushes it's a 3-run shot. Now, this one I definitely did not see coming. Once again, courtesy of Major League Baseball, Major League Advanced Media. And I think, what are we talking here? This is the top of the second. So the Nationals, who seemingly, they're just a strange team to follow, I find. And now they got their pitchers hitting.
Masson as well.
Yeah. Is that who it is? Okay.
Yeah.
At least showing one. Doesn't follow through with it, though. And pulls one to deep left field. This has got a chance. Max Scherzer, his first Major League home run to the Clevelander and beyond. Max Scherzer makes it 4-0. A bomb.
Silent treatment for Max.
And then the team doesn't go over and the old hilarious, let's not give them the high fives. And the Nationals, look, they're one of these teams, at least as far as I'm concerned, from the betting, from the degenerate side of the world. I'm never quite sure, even when you go, look who's on the mound, it's Gonzalez, if it's Strasburg, and you're like, okay, let's take a look at that number. And then they do something weird, and they're a heartbreak team for me.
Find a way to lose, right?
Like, I don't know if
they seem to have everything in place, too.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you lost a 5-game series to the Rockies.
Are they the equivalent of the way I used to always feel about the Atlanta Falcons. That during the regular season, there's these wins that they get, and they'd be highly touted. People like them, and I'm thinking, yeah, but the week before they lost to Miami at home. There's certain holes in it, but I would say that overall, would I think that the Nationals are more consistent and a better team over the last 3, 4, 5 years than the Atlanta Falcons? Absolutely, because the Falcons we always thought were frauds. The believe and not believe, they were always in the not believe category.
Not believe category, and you know what? Some people are even saying that about them this year.
I would. I'm back on that train.
It's like, okay, now we dip down the roller coaster ride called the Atlanta Falcons, but more on that later. The Nationals, yes, I'm not buying the Nationals as the National League winner. I'm buying the Nationals as a very good team. I would put the Washington Nationals, and it's funny that I said Washington, in the same category as the Washington Capitals.
Yeah.
A really nice regular season team, and for some reason in the postseason, they find ways to crap the bed.
That's true. I never thought of it that way, too. So just more sadness in Washington.
Washington, and then you throw the Redskins in there. Maybe a 500 team. Not much going in Washington,
Yeah,
eh?
Do you know Redskins? I know a couple of Timmers are Redskins.
I know Redskin fans.
Yeah.
That division, because yesterday when we were talking to Rochelle Ryan, that division, a lot of Redskin fans, a lot of Giant fans. We know there's a lot of Cowboy fans.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of diehards, even Eagle fans. There's a fair bit of Eagle fans out there. It's a very public division if you want to look at teams like that. So.
Absolutely. If you want to see a movie that gets really freaky about it, it's called The Fan.
Okay.
And so that's Patton Oswalt, who you know him on King of Queens, and he plays this guy who loves sports radio. He likes to call up, and he's a Giants fan. And there's a thing with Philadelphia because of course they don't like each other, but it gets really dark, incredibly dark. And you know what? It is worth seeing if you like the sort of darker movies. This definitely be one of them because there's a lot of cringeworthy stuff. And if you like sports radio, if you've followed Dave and myself for a lot of years, people always ask, you run into the crazy fan. I've never run into crazy fans. I run into people who are obsessive about it. Mm-hmm. And when they have their man cave and it's all this, and certain people have. Well, I met one guy, like his children were almost born on the same day as his favorite player.
That's weird.
And
that's really weird.
Yeah.
What do they call him by the name too?
Yeah. Well,
almost.
The middle names I think are But this movie, I don't think you've ever seen it, have you? I talked to the director of the movie.
No, I haven't.
On the show one time, back in Calgary. That's when it came out. It's great. So if you want to see something that's weird, do that. Speaking of the world of the weird, did you ever think that Steve Bartman?
Oh boy.
Well, number one, that we'd even be talking about that name ever again.
No.
That didn't have something to do with assault or, God, at some point even a suicide. Because I'll tell you, I've never seen someone as hated.
Yeah, we don't wish that on anybody.
But I wouldn't have. It got so bad that Steve Bartman, had to literally go into hiding. No, literally the Isle of Guam or wherever he had to go to. I've never seen a legitimate, and here's the thing. Legitimately a city that would hate one guy, and to the culture that is baseball, where people do reach for balls and stuff like that. It's not in my DNA. So if a ball's coming, that's not what I do. What did you make of that when you see it? When you take okay, here's what we'll do, and I'm sure you've seen it. There was that.
By the way, Darth Yoda. On the live chat says that movie you were talking about was called Big Fan.
Big Fan. Big thank you for that.
The Fan is another movie. I think that's the De Niro one.
Oh, that's the De Niro
one. Giants.
Yes.
And he's I think Wesley Snipes is
Wesley Snipes is the star.
Yeah, so he kind of almost plays the Barry Bonds type figure. He's wearing a Giants uniform.
That's right. That's right.
So, but he says, different movies, and still both of them pretty decent.
Yeah, the Fan, De Niro's, that big part. You think you're so good, it's just, but this one also gets pretty dark too. This one gets pretty dark, but both of them actually are. You be the judge on this one. You've seen it a million times, and yet I'm still fascinated by it. Now, once again, this would be property of Major League Baseball. But do you remember this particular moment that was something that almost froze in time, Dave? And I don't know if I've ever collectively seen an entire city that spewed the kind of hatred because of this incident.
Again in the air, down the left field line. Alou reaching into the stands and
Slow motion. But he's not the only one reaching.
That's awfully close to fan interference right there. The umpire's all over it. The umpire right down there, Mike Everett's on the play.
So
if Lou has to reach into the stands, it's fair game for the fans to catch the ball. If the fan reaches out over the field, then it can be ruled fan interference.
So are they in the field of play, or did he reach in? Oh, look at that. See that? Scott MacArthur there, very upset. I look at that play time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't blame Vladdy because, but you're more of a baseball guy.
You mean Moises Alou.
Or sorry, Moises.
Yep.
I don't blame him for that anger because at that moment, now to be clear on that how that worked, that was not Game 7. You know
No.
what I mean? That's Game 6.
The Cubs had plenty of opportunity.
Yeah. And the bullpen also, like the pitching itself, also melted down, Dave. Previous to that, I mean, this was going to be a Cubs victory somehow, and the Cubs collectively as a team blow it. This is just only sort of encapsulates just how pathetic that happened to be at that time, where people just believed that the Cubs could never win. And therefore, this would be frozen in time as yet another part of a curse. Do you think that was fan interference?
No, because I honestly think that ball could be hit 10 out of 10 times in that area, and Moises Alou would not catch that ball, period. Would not catch that ball. I understand his frustrations, but I mean, oh man, you got 3 different guys in that area. In that picture too, at the very end, Bartman's the only one sitting down.
Yes.
If he stands up with the rest of them, I don't know if he's signaled out like he has been the last decade and a half.
That's an interesting point. I've never heard anyone really say that before.
Honestly, because the other two, I mean, if you look at that video, you see 4 or 5 different sets of hands in there.
Well, the buddy in the
For
gray,
sure three.
Buddy in the gray shirt was just who was a little closer to the ball,
Yeah.
like in terms of the home plate. It goes over, it passes him, but his hands are level.
Yeah.
With Steve Bartman's.
Honestly, so I mean,
but the look on the guy, everything about it says Gurn, loser, nerd.
Yeah.
Like a turtleneck.
He was an easy target for a city that was, well, let's face it, a big loser.
Yeah.
Because the Cubs before this last World Series, and I'm happy for them. I have no ill will against the Cubs. I have no skin in that game either way. The Cubs were notorious losers in professional sports, and they were looking for a scapegoat. It's really too bad that they had to take it this far and blame one guy sitting there with glasses and a turtleneck. I thought it was complete garbage. When you look at it, too, and I definitely recommend it. They're talking about it right now in the live chat. I'm just looking at it. The 30 for 30 on Steve Bartman is fantastic.
Was it something about hell? What was it called? Something about hell. Living in hell?
I think you might be right.
Something like that. It's crazy. They do a great job of it, too.
So, I don't know, man. I don't like that he was signaled out, and I think they took advantage of a guy that was very passive as well and kind of let that happen because he was very quiet. He, as you said, he kind of came across as a little bit nerdy, and he was an easy target for a vicious fan base to take swipes at, and the entire city actually did it. It was called Catching Hell.
Catching Hell, there you go.
Yeah. And big thanks to Ryan. I just caught it right now. Catching Hell, ESPN 30 for 30.
You're watching rawmikeRichards.com or downloading the podcast on iTunes. Maybe it's TuneIn, maybe it's Google Play. We appreciate it. Remember to subscribe to rawmikeRichards.com, our actual site. And, of course, as always, if you're watching it on YouTube, when that little red subscribe comes up like you're doing it right now, take a look at the thing. Yeah, click on it.
Ding.
God damn it, do it.
And tell your friends and your neighbors and go on your friends' computers and click on it.
Yeah.
And when they're not looking, go to your friends' computers and just go click, 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 click,
yeah.
click.
And then take their money because we'll give you. I'm thinking tomorrow we have famous actor Enrico Colantoni. Victor Newman should do his picks tomorrow.
That's a good idea.
With yet another famous actor.
Well, yes, because not only should he do his picks, but there's a Thursday night game here in the city of Toronto with Calgary and the Argos, and then 2 Fridays and 1 Saturday. So I think that's a necessity.
In Toronto, when it comes to infamous baseball incidents, and I don't know how famous this is, but a beer can throw, which from time to time doesn't seem to be maybe now. Ken Pagan is his name. So you're going to see his picture probably across the country here in Canada walking out of the court where he's been charged with what, like mischief? But as the judge continued, the reason it maybe isn't too harsh on him is I believe he lost his job. I mean, he's a former journalist.
Yeah. I think, what is it, the National Post? Or
it was, yeah, because it's Post Media. The judge said he suffered humiliation, harassment as a result of the incident. The former journalist lost his job, and he said it's just basically the public humiliation. But he throws a beer at Hyun-Soo Kim.
Yes.
But there's a lot of other stuff that goes on around that, including there was some like racial taunts that were going on during the game. You know, I think the journalist or former journalist himself, Ken, said, you know, I was just doing normal stuff. Well, what is normal stuff? People who were around him said that, you know, it started drinking before the game, which isn't unusual.
Nope.
I mean, what, I'm going to sit there and piss all over that? No, I get that part.
Pretty standard.
And then he went for it during the game with him and I think a brother, something like that. But when it gets to that line of no return, it was, you know, not even yelling racial taunts, which in this day and age, you look like you're from Crazy Town. Like, normal people don't talk like that. And for most of us, a lot of it, it's just not in you to do that. Well, that happens. And then right here, so once again, this is property of Major League Baseball. Although someone's taking this picture externally to show you how this worked. It is a very bizarre circumstance in a town in a country that generally isn't considered to be that belligerent. But not in this case. So they slow it down so you can see it. Here comes the can. And then everybody freezes in Toronto because really you're kind of not used to seeing it. Now look how they zoom in.
The conversation is about to commence.
Yeah, so there it is once again. Do the Blue Jays and have Blue Jay fans changed for you over the last decades, or is this such a singular incident because it wasn't the only one of beer being dropped, right? That was in this particular series, but it wasn't in Texas. Wasn't in the Texas series as well during the bat flip period? Wasn't there also beer being dumped?
There was something, yeah. Didn't it land on a kid or something?
Yeah, it
or
did.
Near a kid?
Yeah, like a little one, like an infant almost.
And then the argument was, why are they even bringing it to the game? And
Well, two things. I'm not going to sit there and say that I don't believe that Blue Jay fans / Toronto fans have really changed all that much. In fact, I would still say that they still tend to be compared. Go to other ballparks, go to other sporting events around North America. It still is one of the kinder, gentler atmospheres that you're going to get. And in every moment of a playoff circumstance in a stadium, do I think that there is the smallest percentage of someone who's either had too much to drink and has poor judgment or both? It probably does exist. These are isolated incidents. I really don't think it's a reputation that Blue Jay fans have, but I think for Canadians, and when I see the commercials where the phrase that comes up in describing Canadians where we are always saying, sorry, we do say that a lot. I know I say sorry a lot. And when we look at that, really collectively, I think the country says sorry.
Do you mean it, though, when you say it?
Yeah, I do. I say it.
Really?
I do. I say it a lot.
Do you really?
I probably said it 3. No, okay, I don't. Hey, you close the door on me. Yeah, we'll live with it.
Yeah.
Do you think I want your kind in here?
I'm good with it.
Yeah. Yeah, what kind of car do you drive? That's what I thought. Out of the elevator. You heard me? Out of the elevator.
There was beer being thrown after Russell Martin throws to third base and hits the bat. Do you remember the live play?
Yes, that's right.
And then everybody freaked out because it's like interference in it. Meanwhile, the ball was actually live. And yeah, that's when it happened. Ryan, live chat. The Jays fan base, 80% bandwagoners in the last little while. So,
but I'll tell you what, Ryan, that's the history of the city. It's not just the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are maybe, in terms of the fanship, the biggest offenders, only because you can get like 50-some-odd thousand people. So we can go from like 12,000 and then get 50.
Yep.
They've had already 2 million people who've gone through the gate for a team that was never going to make the playoffs. I don't care what people said. They were never going to make the playoffs. We were consistent. You know, people, I claimed this, which really drives me, sideways when I hear a lot of sports guys do this. But I don't think from the moment that we got on the air, April the 24th, that we ever said, is this team a playoff team? They got off to a wretched start, and they made a bit of a rebound. but they could never really get over that hump, and they were never as good as the Yankees that got off to a great start. Then the Bull Sox kind of woke up. Then you saw a Tampa Bay team that all of a sudden started using bats for like really the first time
Which was really weird.
in the franchise history.
In years.
Other guys were hitting, like multiple guys were hitting, even though Longoria the other or yesterday hitting for the cycle. Like,
Yeah.
I know some guys aren't on his train either, simply because he's as good as he says he is and tells people how good he is. Sometimes I don't think he has to play or doesn't feel like playing. But you know what? When you're that good, call your own shot, man.
Do whatever you want.
At least he does. And for the Blue Jays, they were never in that category for me. And so we're not going to sit there and talk about that. But yet, over 2 million people have gone through the gates, and they've got a gold mine, and that Rogers is going to do with that. And in fact, what are they going to do with it? Raise ticket prices.
Yeah, 7 to 17%.
That's pretty ballsy.
Oh, yeah. Considering next year, if you think this year was crap,
Yeah.
wait till next year.
Yeah.
They will, guaranteed. 2015, the Jays will finish last place in the American League East. Maybe even in the bottom 3.
You said 2018 you're talking
Sorry,
about.
18, yes, next year. Maybe even bottom 3 in the entire American League.
Well, they keep talking about being a relevant team. And that makes me nervous because what that says to me is you are telling a fan base that you're not tearing it down. So relevant means that, don't worry, guys, keep coming because this team is going to be of relevance. But if I'm trying to come up with a phrase that keeps that evokes championship to me, team of relevance doesn't really do that for me.
They're once again, and we've talked about this many times, they're once again hanging a banner in the outfield that says 500. That's what what the aim is, because that's what relevant means to me. That means that
it's not as a fan base. I'm not. I don't want to hear that I have a relevant team.
Yeah.
Like when you start arguing with another guy about your favorite team.
hey, they're relevant.
Yeah, you're going, yeah, well, my team's pretty relevant, so take that. Relevant. That's a real shit way of putting we're not going to win a championship.
My team's also part of the American League. Okay. Thanks, Billy.
Yeah, I don't. Hey, speaking of fights, and we saw a really ugly one the other day
You
with
got a follow-up to
with a
yesterday's
giant,
gem?
the Giant fan, with a one punch, dropping the pants of some loser who wouldn't shut up.
This was terrible.
But you know what I think is interesting, and these are the fights I can't stay away from. The guys who start it and the guys who instigate so far on the show end up losing. The same case here. So this is a poker room in Harrah's in New Orleans, also known for a lot of other things and none of it good. So Buddy in the red with the cap on wins the hand. So he wins. Someone who lost the pot starts chirping and I think he calls him bitch or such a bitch or whatever, and then gets his big friend to come over to try to beat him up. Remember, the guy in the red, all he did was win a poker hand. But then, as they say, melee ensues. But guess what? Watch guy in red how he handles himself against this tank that the loser brings in to beat him up. This, I know, not for everybody. Maybe if you don't want to see someone get the shit kicked out of them, don't watch this.
Bitch right here. You get a good Snapchat. He smells like a bitch. I told you he smells like an octopus.
Okay, so just wait. Someone's putting a hand over the camera, and then here we go. Here comes the big guy. Does he want to stand up? Sit down, bitch. He won. So he does sit down, and then he takes the chair away. Gives his hat back. And here's the big guy. He throws a punch, and then headlock. Shirt over. Goes after him, and then, ground and pound. Ground and pound. Nice takedown. Still on top. Get some shots in there. Yeah. More shots. Now he's trying to get some leverage. Security's on the way. Yeah, nice job. Watch this. Here it comes. And, oh, it happened earlier. Head into wall. But, buddy, come on. There you go. There it is. That's right there. You know what? Guy in red held his own. That throw into the wall was a beauty, too. Oof. Now, have you ever been in a room where shit like that happens? Where stuff explodes, where it gets that ugly. I've not been in a lot of places where I've seen a lot of fights like that.
Not like that. I've heard some arguments that look like, okay, we better back up because I don't want to be part of the after effect of the fight. Because you know how that works. Guys get tossed around like that, and then all of a sudden there's 3 or 4 more people involved, right? But, man, I thought for the guy in red who you know, was defending after some mouthy guy decides to, you know, basically be a sore loser about the whole situation. I thought he was in trouble when other dude steps in.
Yeah, because he comes in. That guy was a tank.
Yeah. So, man.
And he pounds on him.
And he pounds on him, too.
See, so just like the...
Wins at the table and at the fights.
The McGregor fight. That could be, right? You don't think it's going to happen. And then it happens. Beautiful. I don't know if the numbers have changed at all, but I think it's still 3 times your money if you think it's a Mayweather decision. A lot of people now taking a look, David, we talked about this, the disqualification. And people saying, well, but what do you think could happen in that? Well, do you think it's possible during that fight, because of what you do for a living? You're fighting Floyd Mayweather, and out of instinct, you throw a kick. Do you think that's possible? It could be in the realm of possibility because you're just so used to doing it, but I don't think that's going to happen, but I think people believe because the disqualification is a decent number as well. I think it's double your money as well. Would Conor McGregor kick him in a lapse of like forgetting kind of where you are? Yeah.
Or want to send it to, you know what? The only reason I say no is because, and I haven't looked at the contract, but a lot of times if an incident like that outside of the realm of boxing happens, McGregor would have to forfeit part of his purse. And I don't think he wants to do that.
That's
do you know what I mean?
One. That to do that would be huge.
Yeah. So as much as MMA fans would, you know, and guys like us, right? I wouldn't mind McGregor kicking Floyd. I'd love to see.
Look, nobody likes Mayweather.
No,
like even where
no, not at all.
The New York, the thing in Brooklyn, it was Brooklyn, where he was trying to get the crowd on his side. They still weren't on his side. But I don't know if I could see any more of the pay your taxes. I mean, that just went on and on. At first, it was amusing, and then, boy, it really faded fast. People are just wanting to see the fight. But they're both working out pretty hard at this point. I know in Las Vegas, it's still not quite a sellout. I'm hearing between, 2,000 and 3,000 seats still available. I don't think they will be. And the gate will be, the gate is going to be crazy. I mean, it will be. But the total take on the fight because of the $100 pay-per-view is going to be just outstanding.
Ryan on the live chat, I'm screwed to watch that fight. August 26th is my wedding anniversary.
But really, Ryan, what better way to celebrate a union between two people than the McGregor, Mayweather fight? Show her that you care.
Michael McMahon, wow, that video was gold.
Yeah.
Guy in red was a beast.
Yeah, wasn't that great? And I'll only show those fights. I'm not showing where the good guy loses. Can't show that. Also, what do we want to talk about here today? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I know I have the bad auditions are still coming up. Is that all that I have left for today?
Bad auditions?
Okay. Because I've never really quite seen anything like this before. Maybe we should talk a little football, as you said, coming up this week.
By the way, Thursday, that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's the first NFL preseason game. Dallas, Arizona. Dallas is favored by 1 point. The totals are 35. It is the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. Not that we watch preseason.
Every time I watch that.
We do.
Yeah.
We watch a lot of preseason games.
Yeah.
We bet on preseason games.
I bet on preseason football, which is really shit. It's just so bad because you got to know that those that have established themselves as starters and veterans, you think Tom Brady's playing snap number one? Although New England might be a little bit different. Who knows? Maybe Belichick comes out and he thinks that's what you got to do. I doubt it. But you don't see Tom Brady until it really counts. You're not going to see a lot of the quarterbacks till it counts. And by the time you get to preseason game number 3, doesn't it seem like the preseason's gone on for about 5 months?
Yep.
Like, it's tough. And if you go to see the game, full freight. You are paying full freight to watch an NFL preseason game. There's a question. If you had to pay for it, would you go? Because the question is, if someone said, well, if they give you a ticket, would you go? Of course you would.
Sure you would.
It's NFL. It's a football game going on. But would you pay full freight?
No.
Well, of course. I'm
not
Dave's
not a big full
freight.
freight. I'm not a half rate guy.
You demanded to get a special kind of ride when you had the private box at the Met Stadium. Think about it. You're going to see a football game. You're at the Met.
MetLife, yeah.
And you
And they actually delivered.
you made them. You wanted a certain kind of dark rum.
It was hilarious. Okay, so Mark Zucchino sets us up. Me and Scotty MacArthur, actually. We fly down with Porter to see the Jets and the 49ers. He's a 49ers guy. I'm a Jets guy. We get there. We don't know what we're getting. But Zucchino's friend, Michelle, sets us up with tickets. We get there, and all of a sudden, it's luxury box. We're in a luxury box. We walk in there. Everything's full freight. Everything's free. And they don't have any rum at all. And the lady says, well, what would you like?
No rum.
No
Zero rum.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah, which was really weird. I didn't get that at all. Meanwhile, I asked for it, and all of a sudden, 15 minutes later comes a bottle of dark rum. And,
Beautiful.
And then 20 minutes after that, the Jets cheerleaders came by for picture opportunities.
Okay, you never told me that part. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, and then after that.
Did anything happen with those? Did you get anything? Or?
No, nothing.
Right.
No. Yeah. Sorry.
I think you got to ask.
Yeah, I know. Probably. Yeah. No. Nothing happened.
I forgot. This is above the good standing married man, Dave Bastel.
And at the time, newly married. I'm trying to remember. I think it was at least year 2. Yeah. Well, we lived downtown for the longest time, and then we got the house, and then Marissa came around. So yeah, I'm guessing it was probably first or second year of marriage. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got it. Yeah. But it wasn't that much before. If it was DJ, was it Styles?
Oh,
DJ Styles would have done it.
DJ
right.
Styles was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you talk in third person when you were DJ Styles?
Yeah, I did. I did. I thought it worked out well.
DJ Styles wants some rum.
And you know what? That goes over well in Winnipeg because nobody talks in third party.
Yeah,
in third person.
Yeah, you're gonna get a beaten. Is what's gonna happen there. Is what's gonna happen.
The guy in the red would actually come after me.
We'll show more of those fights because I'll tell you, I love watching that stuff. There's people like, that's disgusting. It's disgusting. No, it's not. It's awesome and excellent. And I will only show the ones where we want the good guy to win. And
that's fair.
Have you ever seen that one where there's this kid that's getting picked on, a bully? It made the rounds. Russell, have you seen that one? Or were you in the video? It was like a elementary school, and this bigger guy is picking on this kid. The kid puts the books down. Waboosh.
I don't remember.
And fills him in.
Really?
Kid starts crying.
Those are great stories.
People said, that's not nice.
As long as the underdog.
No, the good kid won.
Yeah, he never instigated it.
But the bully might have some issues at home.
I don't care.
Yeah, his issue right now, fist in face. Yeah. So shutty.
Sheesh.
Russell, have you ever been in a fight? You must have been in a fight. Have you been in a fight?
Yeah, you were.
No, he's
come on.
I don't think.
Would you take the red guy? Would you take the red guy down?
Probably not.
No.
I don't think so.
No. Would you just like jump on a waitress's back and start doing weird stuff? Yeah, that's yeah.
I don't think you would have.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. Why is he riding on my back like that's not fighting? No, it's definitely not fighting. He just saw a Rochelle Ryan movie on Spanktervision in his room in Vegas, and now he's all worked up. Sorry about that. Here's $1.
They still have Spanktervision, eh?
I guess. Well, it's like, it always kills me. It's like you go into a hotel room, and in the day, it's like, Spanktervision or whatever. So you'd look at the previews, and you'd kind of see some stuff. Which for a guy, it's like nudity anywhere. Like, show me a shoulder or something. Like, do whatever you got to do. Now it's all classy, like adult vision. And they see like guys, this sort of Ken and Barbie kind of people having like dinner and stuff. A lot of wind blowing, a lot of veils, candles. What? What is that? That's not what you're seeing on that thing. No candles. There's no veil. There's no beaches. Sucking cock, that's what's on there. Just so you know, that's kind of what it's all about. Reverse cowboys, 69s. I mean, this is really what you're seeing, not so much that evening at the keg that they portray in the beginning. But I don't know what it's always like it's like adult only, or sexy cinema. No, it's not.
Do they still have those infomercials late night?
The phone ones?
Yeah, I haven't been.
That's what I think is amazing. It's like
I haven't been up too often lately at that time.
Call 1976, Fruit Loop, and there's some hot super girls going, I like it because I meet a lot of guys. No, you don't. No, you don't. Clearly, you don't need that phone service. But here's the thing: who the fuck is using the phone? What's a phone? What's a phone? No one talks on the thing that's the phone. Isn't really the phone. What are you using rotary dial to call up these girls?
There you go.
It's so much fun. I never called one of those things. I do have a friend who did. I won't say his name because he was house sitting for a guy. Buddy gets home from being away.
Is it Russell?
And it wasn't Russell. And he goes, yeah, it calls him up. Hey, dude, thanks for looking after the house. Yeah, no problem. I just got my phone bill.
Oh, no.
Yeah, back in the day where you look at your phone bill. There are 400 hours on this 976, party line or whatever, the funsy line. Like, he spent hours, you get hammered and then talk to all these girls. You know what that looks like. They may sound good, but it's not good. Like, Russell, if you did a high voice, do you think you could trick a guy? Have you done that? Have you catfished someone before?
Yeah, you could do some catfishing, no? He's shaking his head.
I don't know. I've never done it. Don't think I ever will.
I think we should try it.
No.
We should try it out and tape him.
Well, Manti Te'o's girlfriend.
Teo.
Manti Te'o's girlfriend, people are like, is that ever going to come back? I don't know if people remember. But that was so bad.
You know what? And that's been covered up so well.
It's almost gone. Almost people don't even know what we're talking about.
He's been playing in the NFL for the last 3 or 4 years with the Chargers and actually, a starter. And that's
he's maintained his job. I think that's what I would say. He's not an all-star.
Disappeared.
Yeah.
So it's
then he got a real one, which you should. Even as a standout at Notre Dame or a San Diego Charger, you don't really need to go online and talk to a girl that's not only not a girl,
invisible,
but said that she survived cancer. Like, why would you go to that length to make that story up if you're just like trying to trick a guy?
Manti Teo.
The voice was kind of like this. I think
I'm like, you thought that was a girl? Yeah, and somehow we never met. Yeah. That's what happens to imaginary girlfriends online.
You used to have her call into the show. That was a great bit.
Was that someone tweeting? Oh, yeah. People want to hear that. Speaking of a great bit, I don't get this. So
maybe Manti Te'o's girlfriend should phone into our guest tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, we can do that. Manti Te'o girlfriend picks. Ooh, that's a bit of a stretch, but preseason shit games anyway, so maybe she knows.
Yeah, right up her alley.
If we're talking about the weirdness, and I just talked about my horrible audition. Okay, so Batman, the TV show back in the 60s, it was supposed to be campy, a little funny, a little whatever, and became like a huge show for kids. Really after school, if you were that young, Batman used to be on when you came home. So Batman and Robin. Robin was played by Burt Ward. Now, I don't know if there's actually, are we crediting, I don't know who did Batman. I know they're probably going to goon us on this. I don't know if you shrink it down, does it say, whoever produced Batman, let's say Paramount Pictures, Universal, maybe one of those sticks. This is how he auditioned for the part. Watch what he is wearing and watch what they make him do and listen to the freaky, creepy director telling him to do stuff. This is a weird audition.
Albert, that was quite an exhibition. What are you going to do now?
Well, I'm going to do a couple of throws and a couple of falls.
Falls? You're going to take the falls yourself?
Right, I'm going to do the falls first, and then I'm going to take the throws.
All right, let's do a couple of falls.
Love the outfit. I really love the belt. Oh, tremendous.
Now, do one towards us.
Can you do one with no pants?
All right.
Lovely.
Go back out there in the center.
Yes.
You want to do a couple of throws now, or do you want
to
do...
All right, throws.
You got a friend to work with?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have a friend?
Ball, come on out.
Can I be a friend? Will you use your shirt?
All right, I'm going to give him a shoulder throw, and he's going to give me a hip throw.
Okay.
That's fantastic. All right, boys, kiss. Get naked now. Oh, look at this. Look what the guy's wearing. Windbreaker.
That's a shoulder throw.
That's a shoulder throw right there.
Throw you now?
All right,
yes.
now I get the hip throw.
Will be a 69 at some point. Yes.
Everybody had a
Yes.
windbreaker. Come on.
Yes. Very aroused right now, Robin. Oh, that's great.
Anything else you want to do?
Yes. Anything else that comes to mind?
Well, how about the?
Yeah.
How about I give me another throw?
They're talking about it.
Just give me another one.
That guy in the windbreaker kind of looks a little bit like Russell. A little bit. Oh. That's awesome. All right.
Fine. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
No,
So
Russell's
that-
better looking than that guy.
That is what spurs on a franchise of movies that makes millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. It came from that. There could be no more awkward moment than going out and auditioning as what is it, Grayson, however that works, and you have to dress up in those almost diaper-like pants with the Robin vest, whatever that is, like you're from Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Roll around in those elf shoes. Why a grown man in the dark goes, "That's fantastic. Now hump the carpet." Yeah. That was terrible. And guess what? You got the pot.
You're in.
You've never had to do that, have you, Dave?
No.
I would pay, honestly, $10,000 if you could just do that routine just in the same clothes.
In that same clothes.
Yep.
The worst audition I ever had, and I probably had about 9 or 10 of them. 9 of them have been lines, sides, back
Right.
and forth, dialogue. The 10th one, they wanted me to dance.
Oh,
Thank
no.
God I was wearing a suit, tie, and everything. And they're like, okay, you're at a nightclub. You walk over. And
No, you were not prepared for that. You don't know this.
No, I wasn't prepared for it at all because
that's shitty.
they had the lines already. They said, okay, great. Now casually pretend you're dancing to grab the attention of a couple females that are watching.
Okay,
and I'm
now-
like, I'm right there. As soon as he said that, not only do you get the back sweat,
Oh, yeah.
okay, and you
I
start
would
to
be,
get nervous, you instantly think, I'm not getting this. I should just walk off right now because you're not ready for it.
Well, now I'm starting to think, are you guys just going to play this at your company Christmas party and embarrass me?
Exactly. But apparently that was part of it. But just not knowing anything about it until he actually presents it, because in the room, just like you said, there's a little camera. There's a producer and usually like an assistant.
Yeah,
so there's
there's
usually 2 or 3 people in the
At
room.
least 3.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, what's your name? What part are you playing? And your representation.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, camera, boom. And it's like, okay, now we want, I'm like, damn, and you're sitting there and you're like,
So
yeah,
what did you
I'm not
do?
it.
So what did you do? Just show us a little bit. Did
Yeah,
you
I
like
just
that?
started doing a little bit, but I'm like, like it's such a non-sell that I'm sitting there going, you know what? I wouldn't hire myself, and I'd hire myself for everything.
Like it's like going out for a beer ad. Now one of them I got, and they just hired me. I was an Egyptian slave. What kind of fucking casting was that? An Egyptian slave?
Slave. Yeah.
Well, it was back, the longer hair or whatever was going on. But oh no, here.
Oh no.
Coach Frank just tweeted what he thought it would look like.
Oh boy.
I kind of, it's that one weird scene, Jean-Claude Van Damme in whatever that movie.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
You know what? I think it would be a little bit like, what are you supposed to do? Except, guess what? He's enjoying himself.
Yeah, he's like
Jean-Claude thinks
he
that's
looks
good.
comfortable. I was not wearing that attire, although the guy looks great. And you know what? I'm one of the biggest Jean-Claude Van Damme fans around.
Tank top with suspenders is always a strong look.
I'm okay with that. You know what? Jean-Claude could do whatever he wants. I'm watching the movie.
Yeah,
Hell, when I see Universal Soldier on, even though it's been out for a while,
boy.
I'm still watching.
Look at his hips going though. Look at those. That's
The guy's great.
yeah. Look at
And you know
gyrating.
what? And you know what? A big fail in Hollywood that you haven't cast this guy for more movies, because this guy is money in the bank. And if you want guys like us watching these movies, keep on putting them out. And you know what? Even match him up with a Steven Seagal. I'm in.
The Pittsburgh Penguin movie Sudden Death.
Yes.
Where he plays literally like he's the part of the which is the fire. What do they call those guys in the building? They're because he was part of the
Like the pyro team?
No. The fire chief that inspects the building.
Okay,
one of those guys.
Yeah.
That's what he was. Now, Mike Lang, our good friend Mike Lang, who's the real announcer in Pittsburgh, is in this movie, and Powers Booth is the bad guy. So Powers Booth is like during a Game 7 at the old Igloo is creating some sort of robbery. I don't know what you're stealing in Pittsburgh in a Game 7 or why this was a big thing. And so he finds out, Jean-Claude Van Damme, so he has to like go through the whole entire building before it blows up. I think they're going to blow up the whole building. There's dynamite, of course. Yeah. And Powers Booth is the bad guy. So finally the police realize that Jean-Claude Van Damme is the good guy, and they ask him a question like, all right, you, what's the situation there? And Jean-Claude Van Damme's lousy. Cut. Can we have him dance again? Because I love that. Lousy.
And he got the part.
It's lousy. And I always kid Mike Lang. I said, so then the bad guy somehow dresses up a goalie. Then he becomes the goalie. So Jean-Claude Van Damme puts on goalie equipment in like the third period, and Mike Lang doesn't recognize that it's not the starting goalie for the Penguins. like all of a sudden, the fire chief or the fire inspector puts on goalie pads and a mask, and Mike Lang, the Hall of Fame voice, doesn't realize that it's not the starting goaltender for the, So Marc-Andre Fleury or Murray comes out, and all of a sudden Russell Graham goes in with pads, and Mike Lang doesn't pick up the fact that it's not a professional goalie, or not even the same goalie. It's not the same guy. And Mike goes, wow, Michael. There's a lot of pressure in that sudden death game. I can understand, because the building was going to blow up and everything, and he actually had to beat up the mascot and stab him in the head or whatever. If you haven't seen it, it's called Sudden Death. And if you want to like have one of those movies that is a complete waste of time and you laugh at every line, that's the one. That's the one.
There's a lot of good movies like that. That guy was great.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah. Oh, with Dolph Lundgren too was in the Universal Soldier, right? Where they're dead guys and he collects the ears.
Yep.
That was another great piece of acting by Dolph Lundgren. Actually, was at a bar one time, just on Mount Pleasant here in Toronto. Looked over, and there he was.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Glug, glug, glug. I'm just saying.
Really?
Not that I'm picking on it. Trust me. I do that.
You're fine with that.
I thought, I must break you.
I must break you. He must get that all the time.
In his mansion with the supermodels. Like, he gives a shit.
Sure, it's fine, yeah.
So we go, what are you laughing at that?
Go ahead and break me, man. Look at my
here it is,
my lifestyle.
Oh, and there was a fight, too? No. Was that from that movie?
There's probably a lot of fights in that movie, no?
But the goalie, oh, come on. Is that seriously in there? That's outstanding. I didn't realize we could even find that. So he taps the guy. So they're playing Chicago. It's a Pittsburgh-Chicago final where Jean-Claude Van Damme goes on, and then he's picking fights, and Mike Lang still didn't pick up on that.
Oh boy,
we got to question his abilities as a play-by-play guy. He's not picking up on that. Coming up tomorrow, as we said, we're going to have the great Enrico Colantoni. You've seen him from Flashpoint was one of the last things, but he's been in everything. Contagion was one of the last movies that he did, but it was Just Shoot Me. With I'm trying to think of the names. Wasn't Elizabeth Mastrantonio? What was the dark-haired girl in that show? I was very attracted to her, though. I know
it's been so long since I saw that. I know. It was a great... that
was a funny show. David Spade was in it.
Yeah.
So we'll have him on tomorrow. We'll also do Victor Newman picks as well. But if you want to tweet the show, it's at Raw Mike Richards or... Of course, Dave Bastel's simply at Dave Bastel. We'll have Victor Newman picks tomorrow as well. What else do I want to do tonight? Is there anything else we want to hit on?
I think we're good, man.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look at it
very little Blue Jay talk. If you haven't seen that catch, once again, if you're listening to the podcast or if you want to go see that amazing catch from last night, that Boston-Cleveland game was fantastic. Let's hope in September and October that we see more of that.
What? We just become best friends? Yup. You want to go do karate in the garage? Yup. It's
I'll also try to find more of those fights that are just awesome. Or if you find one, send them to me. I'll certainly play it. I don't care. But the guy that you want to cheer for, he has to win. That's the only caveat. So we mentioned football picks tomorrow. We are using, as always, and will for the rest of.
Was it Rena Sofer? Is that the name of the actress you were looking for?
No, but I like her too.
Okay.
Who said Rena Sofa?
It's Darth Yoda. Darth Yoda 19, not to be mistaken for 18.
Now I'm going to start thinking about her now. She was in Melrose Place. How do I know this shit? Anyways, look up all the girls you like. Send the pictures in to me. I'll show them tomorrow. I'm a loser.